friends. Greetings and God bless. I am listening to this audiobook, excuse me, and I, like the past couple years, I was thinking that we're in like this narcissistic spell. And if you look into demonic possession, and in more than just somebody's head spinning or vomiting or something like that, there's definitely a more subtle demonic possession, which is this just really evil human behavior. It's consistent, it's predictable, it's organized, and if you talk to people who are they're excuse me, they're not into um, the supernatural, paranormal. They're not aware of demonology or whatever. But if you talk to people who have had narcissistic partners or bosses, um, they'll be like, this is terrible. This is killing me. And usually it's these nice people, kind of codependent, that are targeted by narcissists. And these nice people who get targeted, they're like, it's interesting because these narcissists, this narcissist at work is behaving exactly like my mom. It's like they have the same playbook. And I have heard this over and over again, and I listen to books about this topic, and people will say, yeah, it's, these narcissists have these common tools. And if you look at secret societies, cults, there's similar overlaps. And there will be skeptics who will poo-poo what I'm having to say, but when you have reams of literature, and it is statistically significant that that this is an occurrence. This has been documented for thousands of years now. And it's not just documented in the West. I believe the first, one of the first miracles Jesus did was cast out demons. Demons are known in other cultures, in Asia, in Africa, in South America. People are very concerned, and it's credible, the question of demons. And it's written in the Bible that my people perish for lack of knowledge. And I would say the West is so uninformed. And what is going on right now, the past couple of years, is I'm like, well, two things. One is that there's like this demonic possession of decision makers and their minions. And there's like this this blindness that otherwise good people are in. And it's like God will reject those who reject him, right? I mean, wouldn't you? If I was talking to you and you were trying to help me, and you tried helping me all my life, and you even sent your son to sacrifice himself to help you, like, what would you do after a while, right? So sometimes God turns away from those who have rejected him, violently rejected him, right? And also sometimes God lets Satan blind people, because God has his purposes. And I think that not only do the evil have their sleepers, but God has his sleepers. So I think that at some key moment, Obama or Pelosi or Biden or Kamala, their blindness is going to be removed, and they're going to see the glory of God, and they're going to preach the gospel. Or one of them, and it could be in our local community. So God has his sleepers too, and so he'll blind people. So the some of the most toxic, messed up people that are clearly like like the least Christian ever, the least decent ever. Jeffrey Epstein could come out of the woodwork or something like that and preach the gospel, because God can do that. And I have heard, you can look it up online, but I believe that Anton LaVey took Jesus as his savior on his deathbed, right? I mean, so God can overcome everything because God is the author of the world. He's the creator of the world. So so what is going on right now? So people are like, wow, politics are really weird right now. But I think there's an engineered malignant narcissism that has been implemented through government, and strangely, otherwise good, healthy people or reasonably healthy people are going along with this malignant narcissist paradigm. And like I was saying at the beginning, that demons are, they take their cue from Satan, who is the ultimate malignant narcissist. What was Satan's first problem? Pride. What's Satan's tool? Pride. I mean, that's what he did to Eve. He was like, you'll just become like a god if you eat this fruit, right? And Eve was like, oh, well, of course I want to be a god. Doesn't everybody want to be God? And Satan just preys upon our ignorance. And he was right. She became like a little god, and you know what the little gods are? They're fallen, because Satan is a fallen angel, and all the devas, the mythological gods, they're fallen angels, and they're not happy. Like if you just look at Hera and Zeus, and I mean, like, talk about dysfunctional, right? Like, the Judeo-Christian paradigm of a God is a just God, a moral God. And yes, I know people are like, well, God kills everybody. If you just look into it, there's more to it. And I can't go into it in this, this is a 7-minute YouTube video, but please look into it. If you really, really hate God, look into it. Check out the King James Version of the Bible. Listen to some Bible studies. I recommend Pastor Gene Kim's Bible studies, or Pastor Robert Breaker. And the thing is, if you're somebody who knows, Hindu religion, you do yoga, or Chinese culture, or African, or Santeria, or something like that. If you've studied those at length, but you absolutely reject Judeo-Christian literature, the Bible, you're a bigot, and you need to stop being a bigot. Like, if you consider yourself a classical liberal that's open-minded to everything, but you're a bigot. I mean, that's just the it doesn't, like, and I know you guys are going to be like, oh, well, then you're saying I should study how to be a Nazi. Before you, I mean, how do we know the Asian stuff isn't racist, or the African stuff isn't racist, or the pagan stuff isn't racist? I mean, like, how do you know until you know, right? So you're just like, if you were here in the 1700s, everybody would be against pagan stuff, and so you would never look into it because that's what everybody told you. But now that we're a few hundred years later, and there's not this prejudice against pagan stuff, you did explore it, and look what you found, right? So I'm just saying, apply that same spirit of inquiry, that non-judgmentalness in looking at Judeo-Christian scripture, or religious text, if you prefer to call it that. And yes, I know there have been the most evil people who are Christians in your life. I have encountered them. I encounter them now. And the reason why, why you've encountered evil Christian people who are just horrible and they made you feel horrible? Because we're in a supernatural realm. We're in a paranormal realm right now. There are demons around right now. They're sitting out there, in your room right now. Because Satan is trying to harvest your soul. And how does he harvest your soul? He keeps you away from the truth, the light, which is Jesus. Satan is very convincing. He's had thousands of years to be convincing, and we're fallen people, so we don't know better, and we make mistakes, and we block ourselves off from God. But God wants you, and the only way to God is through Jesus. So just know that you are under attack. If you've encountered some of the worst Christians in the world, yeah, you did, and I apologize for that, if I can. But Jesus wants a relationship with you. That's the only thing. Like, God is so happy if you just consider turning to Him, if you turn to Him and just say, God, is this real? So I just encourage you about that. I'm just going to take a sip of this here. There's like a lot of dust in my room. Anyway, thank you for your patience there. So the way it seems to me that demons operate, whether it's in a relationship, a family, a community, or a nation, or a world, is through this narcissistic modality. And I think they also use good things too, because what I notice is a narcissist wants to surround himself with good, trustworthy, capable people. And so then the narcissist manipulates the good people. And because those people are so good, other good people, or even not so great people, are drawn to that good person, right? Because that good person gives legitimacy to the narcissistic agenda, right? And unfortunately, just good people, either they're manipulated or whatever, but good people should avoid socializing with narcissistic organizations and businesses and whatever governments, because they're like I think it's called a Judas goat. So there's there's an animal that's put in a flock that leads them all to the slaughter. And I mean, that's what's been going on, I feel like, the past couple of years and even longer. I mean, probably for hundreds of years, is there will be good people, whether intentional or not, that get other people, it's like a shill, that get people to do things that against their own best interests. So folks, there's a technology that's being used against us, and we are in a paranormal situation. And there's so many books about narcissists. So it's a term that's been thrown around so much that there's a lot of experts who are knowledgeable about it. They're like, I'm not even going to use the N word anymore, the narcissist word. And Richard Grannon is one of the ones that I kind of followed regularly. And I feel like it's an unfortunate thing. And I haven't watched him lately, but the thing is, when I think the word is secular, when non-spiritual people or non-Christian people are like, when non-believers are talking about narcissists, they use the word evil, demons, witch. And that's the thing. People know that this is a supernatural, paranormal, evil thing. They know it, but intellectually they won't admit it. They won't really rest their reputation that there really is this supernatural component. And what's interesting, I know, like Richard Grannon, for instance, has said he's spiritual, he's religious, maybe he's Catholic or something like that. And sorry about the background noise. And yet, and I was like that too, like where I was like, yeah, I believe in God, but I didn't believe that we were in such a supernatural. I didn't believe we were in such a paranormal world where there really were demons and where we were in this war. And I mean, maybe he's come around since I've last watched him, but like a lot of the narcissism experts don't talk about this supernatural component. And so I just wanted to do a piece about that. So I think I'm going to wrap that up for now. And I would like to invite you to check out the next video, which is actually going to be the book that I started, So you know what? Since I did, this is a long introduction. Since the title of this is that book, I'm just going to start, uh, and I'm going to comment on this. So this is that book, The Narcissist in Your Life.
We need affection, warmth, love of self, love shared with others, connections with the earth, connections with animals and plants. We need good food, clean water and air, safe space to walk and play and laugh, meaningful work. We need to touch and be touched, to listen and be listened to sleep and to dream. The narcissist.
So, what has happened this past year, 2 years, right? That is a basic prescription for basic human health. And who's told us we couldn't do all those things? That's yeah. And the shame is that we let them. Now my latest thing, I mean, I can't believe it took me so long to figure this out, but so I'm in the process of trying to figure out where to move. And so I call the local health food store, whether it's Trader Joe's or a food co-op or Whole Foods. And I'm like, do you have any requirements for me to enter your store? And basically I'm asking, are you discriminating? Are you discriminating on the basis of my genetics, which is against the law? It's against Section 7 of the 1964 Civil Rights Law. It's also against the Constitution, and it's against the local city and state law, because it's illegal to discriminate against me. If it was wearing a clown costume, let's say, they couldn't discriminate against me. As long as I was just going, buying my loaf of bread or something like that. They can't say you can't be in here because you're wearing a clown costume. If I was wearing a mermaid costume, or if I was dressed like an alien, or if I wore a shirt that said something, if I wore an American flag, nobody can say, like, they can't say that's or if I had brain surgery, or if I had a face transplant, they can't discriminate against that, right? But they're thinking that now, because when somebody is breathing, because somebody has their original genetics, that they can discriminate. And they can't. I mean, it just won't hold in a court of law. And we still do have that. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, we don't have law anymore or whatever, but I think we do. And it's just people haven't bothered to use it. People they're so broken that they've just capitulated to the slightest. I mean, because what has been going on is yes, we've seen scary stuff in the news, but people have capitulated with the least. I mean, just people are obeying a paper sign on a door. People are obeying a grocery clerk who's telling him you can't breathe. So somebody gets paid $10, $8 an hour to tell other people you can't breathe. And this all started with one guy saying he can't breathe, but now the whole nation is not allowed to breathe. I mean, like, what is the logic? That's the logic of Satan, in my opinion. But let us continue.
Shame, self-hatred, intolerance, polarized thinking, reactivity, arrogance, entitlement, hypocrisy, paranoia, competitiveness, lack of compassion,
So this is all the narcissistic mindset, if you don't realize that already.
Self-involvement, envy, hierarchical thinking, objectification of others, compulsive projecting, desire for power, and need to be right are forms of despair.
So does this sound familiar? Does any of that sound familiar? Is any of what that quote? So that started at around 19 minutes. Does that sound like anything that's been going on the past 2 years? Seriously, folks. I mean, this is just textbook what's been going on, in my opinion.
Despair batters and hollows out the mother, father, and child. The family suffers and the world suffers. The narcissistic family becomes the world's stage. Letting go and moving on. Narcissists' impossible mix of primitive neediness, self-focus, and lack of emotional empathy makes them figurative monsters in the lives of those close to them. They drain and hurt family members while expecting them to serve their needs. Their emotional reactivity and compensatory grandiosity and entitlement make them grotesque.
So I want to highlight the term compensatory entitlement. I'm going to put that in the chat. Compensatory entitlement. So this is something I notice in the post-traumatic community, post-traumatic growth community, is there will be other people with PTSD, complex PTSD, and there will be some people with chronic illness or PTSD that try to use compensatory entitlement. So there'll be a single mother of 2 children, and being that I'm single, never had children, so she's like, well, I have 2 children, so I deserve more attention, I deserve more whatever. Or somebody will be like, I have this other thing, so I deserve more. And or I have this cause, so me and my cause get to take more from you. And that's what's been going on in it. And this I think it's Marxism. I think like it's a element of that, because a lot of Marxists, they come from wealthy homes. I mean, I know people from college who, really are into Marxism, and I'm like, they're totally privileged people, very insulated, like wealthy, maybe not like crazy rich, but and so, but they're like, yeah, like I'm rich and wealthy and secure and never had to worry about anything. But I think that I deserve to take from you, like the people who are poor, like the working poor, I mean, that's the whole mindset. And it's a narcissistic mindset. And the thing is, yeah, there's some really nice Marxists, there's some nice narcissists, but they're still wrong. And like, you need to stand up against it. So here I am trying to help you be informed about it. So let's see what the next part is.
Their capacity for emotional harm, vindictiveness, and perhaps also physical violence can be terrifying and downright dangerous. But although they behave monstrously, narcissistically disordered people are not monsters. They are deeply wounded children who got older. They never had the emotional grounding to love themselves or others. Like anyone else, they deserve decency and compassion, but they do not deserve access to you or permission to keep hurting you. It is your responsibility to protect yourself from their harm and to help protect those you love from it. By now, hopefully, you understand much more about what you've been through as a survivor of narcissistic abuse, why it is not your fault, and how to let go and move on. Understanding is always the first necessary step as we move toward change. Forgiveness, what it is and why it matters.
So here she's going to go through like these different, it's like a list. So the first one is forgiveness, and I am going to fast forward this just because this video is already pretty long. So if you want to slow it down, just know that if you go to your settings part of the video where it looks like a little gear, if you go to settings and you put it on slow, like right now it's probably on normal speed if you're listening to this. So you can set it to 0.75 or 1.25, or if you want to have your videos go faster. You can fast forward it, have it on a faster speed in that little gear setting. So I'm going to step away and
There's so much talk of forgiveness, but what is it really? Like love, forgiveness begins and ends in your relationship with yourself. You can't love at all without loving yourself. You can't love your cat or your dog or your best friend or your spouse or your child without love for you. Love is accepting ourselves and others as we are. Love is something we decide to do each day. Forgiveness at its core is also about acceptance. It is not an excuse or forgetting. It is not permission. It is not even about the person who has wronged you. Forgiveness is your acceptance of your hurt and your release of that hurt. When you forgive, you say, this happened and it hurt. And now I am finished with the hurt and I release it. I don't harbor resentment or anger. I don't need to punish. As long as I feel anger or the need to seek revenge, the hurt is still in me. And the person who hurt me still has power over me. I forgive and I let the hurt go. I forgive and I take my power back.
so actually I wanted to, even though I know, I wanted to address this because what has been going on this past year, ever since that one situation in Minneapolis, has any forgiveness been pushed? No. What's been going on is people are. I hope you're not. Of course, there's a phone call trying to come in right now. I am going. Sorry about that. So, have people been trying to be mature? Have people been trying to learn forgiveness? Has anybody been trying to be responsible for, like their own healing? No. What's been going on is somebody trying to blame other people, and that's what's been going on this past 2 years, especially, and even before, actually. Like I would say, maybe the past 10 or so years is like there's this like engineered blaming. Who can we blame and shame? Um, you know, uh, and yeah, and does that help anybody? Like, has anybody been helped? I mean, we're seeing all these people have these meltdowns and accusing and even like attacking strangers, blaming strangers for having a different opinion than them. Like that's insanity. That's what's been going on. Is there's insanity that's been going on, and what's really bad is everybody's letting this insanity go on. Nobody's calling it out. And I don't think all the people who have experienced wrongdoing, and there's white people who've experienced wrongdoing. There's straight men who've experienced wrongdoing. There's heterosexual people who have experienced wrongdoing. There's biological people with their original biological gender who have experienced wrongdoing by oppressors. I mean, that's the crazy thing, is people are thinking that the oppressed people have never done anything, that the oppressed people are absolute saints, and people, we all know nobody's a saint. But the thing, the kind of the virus of the mind that's been going on right now is people are like, you hurt my feelings, and so I'm going to ruin your life and everything about you. Like that's normal. Like that's acceptable now, and that's the destruction, not only of a constitutional republic, not only of a nation, but humanity. And the thing is, these people who are trying to destroy humanity, trying to destroy the United States, they also want to destroy the earth. So I know there's plenty of people who are like, oh, I hate humans. Humans all should die. The worst death possible. Okay, if that's what you think. But the thing is, these demons, they're not just going to let nature go. They don't like to hear the birds singing. They don't like to hear the water burbling through the brooks, because it's God's creation. So these demons who hate not only humans, they hate God's creation. So with that, they're doing terraforming so that bees can't function and live, and so they get crazy fungal problems, and whatever. So just if the only thing you care about is creation, then just know that these demonic, malignant narcissists they're not your friend. Even if they're killing all the humans that you hate, all humanity, they want to destroy nature as well. So let us continue.
I forgive and I heal. In the Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz describes forgiveness this way. We don't have to suffer any longer. First, we need the truth to open the emotional wounds, take the poison out, and heal the wounds completely. How do we do this? We must forgive those we feel have wronged us, not because they deserve to be forgiven, but because we love ourselves so much we don't want to keep paying for the injustice. We hope the narcissist finds a way to accept love, forgive, and heal too, but that is not our responsibility, not our journey, and in the end, not something we need to be able to move on with our own life. Healing takeaways. Here are some takeaways to remind you as you move forward with healing. 1. Narcissistic abuse is emotionally, psychologically, and physically traumatic. 2. How you were treated by the narcissist in your life is not your fault. 3. Narcissists are incapable of unconditional love. 4. Narcissists don't really see other people. 5. You are not responsible for narcissists or their behavior. 6. You are responsible for what you do to help yourself move forward. 7. Narcissists are disconnected from themselves. 8. Narcissists may change for the better, but rarely do. 9. Narcissists cannot be reasoned with. 10. To survive, the child must deny abuse. 11. To grow, the adult must overcome denial. 12. Narcissists do not operate with a normal person's moral code. 13. It's not your job to rescue anyone. 14. You can't convince people of things they aren't ready to hear. 15. Healthy boundaries strengthen relationships. 16. Don't assume that others will understand what you've been through. 17. Seek support, but also be careful about who you confide in. 18. Get help from a counselor who understands narcissistic abuse trauma. 19. Empathy begets empathy. 20. The desire for vengeance is understandable, but vengeance does not heal. 21. The best revenge truly is a life well lived, with love and respect. 22. Our defenses don't have to define us. 23. Having a narcissistic parent does not make you a narcissist. 24. Children from narcissistic families often become highly caring and empathetic. 25. Forgiveness is for you, not the narcissist. 26. Perfection is a lie. 27. No one deserves to be scapegoated. 28. Being the golden child is not actually golden. 29. Narcissists put their needs before everyone else's, including their children's. 30. Healthy families put children's needs first. 31. Love starts with yourself. 32. Narcissistic trauma often resonates over time, from one generation to the next. 33. You can help halt the intergenerational trauma by ending the cycle in your family of choice. 34. Life is not about winning or being right. 35. Fear was never meant to be a way of life.
So those last 2 points, I think, are significant. Life isn't about being right. And isn't that what seems to be the case right now? Is people are about virtue signaling and political correctness? Like, isn't that just what's been going on? Like, that is the point of life. People are willing to suffocate themselves, to alter their DNA, to conform to this media narrative, and it's the media. And they're willing to do this to themselves, their children, their grandchildren, or their parents, or pressure whoever around them, because they, that's what they're told is the right thing to do. And living in fear. I mean, isn't that's what's been going on? And is that life? I mean, is that right? And I'm telling you, if that is the case, then this isn't worth it. Then life isn't worth living. If this is the life that we have to do, in my opinion. And I'm saying, don't do it.
36. Shame is useless. 37. Humility comes from wisdom and strength. 38. Healing starts with understanding. 39. Everyone belongs and everyone has value. 40. People with secure self-esteem support democracy more than people who are narcissistic.
So I just want to clarify. And most educated people don't realize we're a constitutional republic. A democracy is mob rule. So we don't I think she's mistaken. I don't think she really means democracy, because who wants a gang to rule? But I think what she means is, so a constitutional republic means that each individual's rights is respected. So let's say this person is a vegan and this person's keto, right? Okay, let's call this person keto. So the Constitution, this constitutional republic, will allow the vegan and the keto person be covered by, like, the original document of the Constitution is protecting the individual's rights. So let's say there's a mob rule of vegetarians. Let's say majority of people are vegetarian, but we have the vegan and we have the keto person. But the constitutional republic protects each individual's way of being. So we can have the range of vegan and keto along with a majority of vegetarians, right? So, like, if we were in a mob rule, vegetarians would dominate, and that would mean the vegans couldn't be around and the keto couldn't be around. But clearly, we have we still are a constitutional republic, and so what she's trying to say is when somebody's healthy, it allows for the full spectrum of human expression. That's why America is so great, and that's why the Bible is so great, because the Bible is the origin of free speech. Why? Because God wants us to have free will to choose. He wants us to have free will to either choose to be his child or to reject him, because God is a good God. He is respectful. He's healthy, and he trusts us, and he loves us. For ourselves. And so what's the most loving thing a God can do is give you free will. So anyways, so freedom is based on the Bible, which is based on God, and he wants us to have free will. So he doesn't want us to all be forced to be a vegetarian. If we want to be vegan, he wants us to have that choice. If we want to be keto, he wants to have us to have that choice. But a malignant narcissist wants control. So a malignant narcissist wants us to, just to be a raw foodist. So the malignant narcissist is just like raw food or the highway. So do you see what the situation is? Because that's what's been going on right now. Right now we have these raw foodists, and they're not just raw foodists. They're the 98.0 raw foodists, where they're like, you have to do it this way and have this many degrees to be the proper raw foodist, and we're going to doubt if you're enough of a raw foodist, and keep the new degree coming every 6 months, and so let us continue the audio.
41. Overcoming trauma takes time. 42. Your mind, body, and spirit naturally want to heal. 43. Being victimized does not make you a victim. 44. You don't owe a narcissist anything. 45. You don't owe a narcissist's enabler or enablers anything. 46. It is never too late to try to make things better for yourself and your kids. 47. Courage is a decision you make each day. 48. Your best is good enough. 49. Love is a renewable resource. 50. The most important lesson narcissists teach is compassion.
So I think I'm going to wrap this up for now, because I know this is quite long. But I think that was a good little overview. And let me know what you think. Do you think that we're in this like narcissistic spell? And what do you think is good to try to navigate out of it? I do think prayer. I do think taking refuge in Jesus, because it is a supernatural battle that we're in. I think that's definitely going to help in finding other true believers. And like I said, there's some Christians out there that I don't know what's going on with them, but so be selective. Find people who are really sane, safe, uh, just sincere. Because there's people who are talking, they talk a good talk, but they don't really mean it. Or maybe they've just have too much going on in their lives that they can't really be a good believer, and it's not for me to judge, but just if you're wanting good fellowship, try to find believers, sincere believers that, are trustworthy, are just decent people, or people who have the time to be decent. Because some people are just like, I've got all my family, my children, and my engagements and my responsibilities, and I can't be a decent person. So just if you can't handle that, don't do that, especially if you're trying to get out of this spell of narcissism. So God bless, and thank you for listening.